What's going on, Internet? I'm Christopher Peterson. You're listening to Nerd EXP Cinecast. This week, I'm hanging out with Alira.
Hey, guys.
So, if you're a returning listener, thanks. If it's your first time, oh boy, you're in for a treat. Each week, we go through the top entertainment headlines and help you level up your movie IQ. Jumping straight into movie news, we are kind of in the middle of Comic-Con, so a lot of stuff's coming out these last couple days and will continue to be coming out. Han Solo, standalone film, officially announced as part of the Star Wars anthology series. So, speculation is this will be the movie after Star Wars Episode 7, Rogue One, Star Wars Episode 8. So this will be the fourth Star Wars film that we'll see in the next coming years. And it is being directed by the same guys who did the Lego movie, Phil Lord and Miller. So mostly kind of comedy movies. They've done 21 Jump Street, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Lego movie, as mentioned before. So a little outside of their wheelhouse. But, I mean, people are excited. People are thrilled. Just kind of more Star Wars news and kind of speculation that comes out.
I think it's really interesting because you say that it's outside of their typical wheelhouse, but I feel like when you think about Han Solo and some of his lines, I mean, he has some of the best, most humorous interactions in the original trilogy in terms of interaction between key characters. So he's definitely this action hero that people, definitely loved and continue to love to this day. But he also had a lot of really great wittiness.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. So these guys aren't writing it. It's being written by Lawrence Kasdan. Not necessarily a name I instantly recognize. Movie's going to come out May 25th, 2018. So...
Right, and just because they're not writing it, they still have that aesthetic and that sense of timing, and I think it'll be interesting to see, what they add to the Han Solo legacy. I'm also really interested to see where he got his start. So
yes, this is going to be supposedly pre-Mos Eisley. That's a great point. So still kind of that Star Wars Rogue One aesthetic is really leaning towards bread and butter of Star Wars, the times that people remember, the original trilogy, the time that people seem to love and enjoy the most.
I don't know. I think that people are going to be very excited and that it's going to be an absolutely fantastic addition to the series.
All right. Anything else on Han Solo?
Who do you think should play him? The young Han Solo, who can live up to Harrison Ford's portrayal of this iconic character?
Zac Efron immediately jumps to mind. I don't know why, just because I think young buck, and he's cute, he's charming, he can be physical, so he kind of.
And he can break into song and dance if needed. Really, is that how we picture Han Solo? High school musical stardom?
It worked for Hugh Jackman.
That's
Wolverine
true.
got his start on opera, so.
It's funny. I was trying to think of people that have kind of that iconic scoundrel look to them. That would be a good physical aesthetic, similar to Harrison Ford. And I thought of Colton Haynes, who you may know as Red Arrow from Arrow. He just seemed like he had that, he could be charming and he could be kind of off the cuff, but he was also, definitely like kid on the street in that portrayal. So I definitely, solemnly up to no good, kind of like Han Solo. So that's who I saw.
I just haven't seen Colton enough, to be honest. He wasn't given a lot to do in Arrow besides look pretty and flip around. So it's kind of...
But I mean, he's got the action down. What about Zach?
I saw him in, that awkward moment and other chick flicks. So thanks for putting me on the spot.
I don't know. You just said that you haven't seen him in enough. But I think that what I have seen him in is more in keeping with kind of that running into danger, running from danger, putting himself out there. So
no, that's fair. Anybody else jump to your mind?
I mean, Liam Hemsworth, maybe. kind of a different look and feel, a little bit, but I think that he's definitely proven himself on that front as well.
What if we go, I don't know if this is a popular rumor, and I don't actually think this would work, but what if we go Chris Pratt?
No, although it's funny that you say that because he was definitely one of the first people that jumped to mind. But I don't know, it's really hard because I feel like if they're setting this before we originally meet Han Solo, I think that he's almost too old.
No, I agree with that. Because, Han Solo should be younger, which is why I jumped to Zac Efron. We're looking at somebody who's ostensibly like a child, a teenager, if we're keeping the continuity. Unless it's like...
So, I got it! Shia LaBeouf! He's already done it!
No.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Have you seen Shia like completely implode like online and YouTube and just his nonsensical rants about everything that's happened in Hollywood and like I'm no longer famous and...
No, I really don't pay attention to Shia at all.
That's
I was
good.
I was kidding. That was a joke, guys.
That's for the best.
It's funny though. Like I picked on you for Zac Efron, but he was on my list as well.
So you have a whole list?
Yeah, I do.
Who else is on your list?
So Chris Pine was somebody else that I thought of, but I also feel like he's maybe a little old.
Yeah.
But I also think that he's got that swashbuckling space hero aesthetic from Star Trek. Another person that's kind of like right on the edge of that is Jensen Ackles, Dean from Supernatural. I just feel like he has the look.
Yeah, no, that's a great choice. I really like him. And he plays fucking Han Solo on Supernatural. Like, that is still his character.
Are we allowed to drop F-bombs here? Man, sweet.
I'll mark it as explicit. Yeah, he plays that same character. So, that's a great choice.
Okay, and then I had a dark horse. And my dark horse was Kit Harington.
He's too pretty.
But he's Jon Snow. Jon freaking Snow. I don't know. I feel like he could pull off a space hero as well.
Okay.
I don't know if he'd be as swashbuckling. He's a little serious.
Yeah.
He might be a darker side to Han. But anyway, that was my list. That was it.
Okay. Let us know what your list is. Feel free to drop us an email at chris@nerdyxp. Yeah, that's an us email at me. And we'll get that read on the air. Moving on, Batman v Superman, kind of one of the big movies to come out next year. Released some of its first stills that we saw on Entertainment Weekly. They had the scoop on this. So I'll put notes in the show liners because I know talking about pictures for radio is always a great idea. But, so the cover itself, you have Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. Henry Cavill as Superman, spot on. He looks like Superman from this new universe. Wonder Woman, I like the outfit. I think that her face looks good, but then like the outfit itself almost looks photoshopped on, or like they elongated the photo, or there's just something weird going on with like the proportions and view on this.
I also feel like her hair is like ridiculous. And I don't know, like I felt like Superman looked natural and more like in his element. I definitely felt like there was just this unrealistic feel to Wonder Woman as a whole as pictured in the cover. Also very distracted by her eyebrows and the like really rough angle of her head. I just felt like she was looking down and looking up and it almost looked like a painful expression.
And then Batman, I hate to say it, looks like Ben Affleck in a Batman suit. And maybe that's just more me.
I just don't understand why it's so boxy. Like, it doesn't seem... I don't know. The proportions for it seem really odd.
They're going for Frank Miller Batman. They call from the 80s, The Dark Knight Returns. And that's very much in keeping as the aesthetic and kind of look. Very much the story, Batman v Superman, is kind of set in that same set piece as you have an older Batman who's disenfranchised and angry and grumpy with the world, who thinks of Superman as the enemy and a government dog, or I think in this case it's going to be just more of a threat to humanity.
But it's almost like an Iron Man meets like catsuit. Like it just looks really odd to me. Like I don't know. Like I can understand, and I actually remember I didn't read it back in the 80s, and my dad actually had like an anthology of The Dark Knight Returns and some of the artwork, and I don't know, like it just looks different to me. Maybe just thinking back on it as how I saw it as a child versus now. But he almost looks like a robotic cat in some of the images. Like it's just, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of this suit, and I typically think they're really awesome. So, I'm hoping that it looks better in the movie in keeping with the entire film aesthetic. But as a standalone story, it's just a little different, I guess, for me.
No, that makes sense. One of the other images we have, if you look at them in order. There's one of Superman and Batman going face to face. We kind of saw that in the trailer, so nothing new really there. There's a picture of Batman as Bruce Wayne in a tuxedo with Diana, Wonder Woman also in civvies. Everyone kind of points and hopes that this is reminiscent of Justice League, the Bruce Timm cartoon, and Bruce and Diana had a budding relationship there. That's great source material to steal from. DC should definitely do that if they can. I wouldn't necessarily jump to that's what they're doing here, but it is nice to see that Wonder Woman might have a more prominent role in this movie, and that she is not just going to be kind of a drop in, drop out. Maybe she's kind of the glue. I think Batman and Superman are going to fight at one point, and she's going to be the Captain America. She's going to come in the middle and go like, hey, let's get our shit together, and let's focus on what's really important.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, too, because I think that, and I've been kind of nervous to dive into all of the chatter around Batman versus Superman just because I'm afraid to get my hopes up. But I think that they did a really great job, too, and just looking at the casting of Lex Luthor with Jesse Eisenberg, I think that that's going to be really interesting. And there's not a lot to the photos with that, but they did share a photo of that as well.
I think Jesse's good casting. We've touched on based on that previously. I think it's a weird picture to highlight. Like he's leaning on a desk. He's at a weird angle. This has nothing to do with. There's no Batman, Superman themes to this. There's no DC themes to this, except for the fact that we know Jesse's Lex Luthor, and the fact that he has hair. I'm assuming that that's a bad wig, and we're supposed to know it's a bad wig, as opposed to like we see him pre-hair at one point in the movie. He has some stupid accident and then gets upset with Superman and is bald and grumpy later throughout the film. Because we know he's bald at some point.
Yeah. I also thought that the photo that has Superman with a crowd that's got their hands on him was really interesting just because, it looks like they're in the midst of a Day of the Dead festival. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays into the story. Just because it's a very odd aesthetic.
Yeah, and the last picture was the bat signal, which I'm fine with. It matches the fat bat signal on his chest, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that if you were actually to shine that signal, up in the air and it was truly a spotlight, that it would be hard to tell it was a bat. I don't know who else would be shining a signal in the night sky, but I don't know. It just, yes, very much looks like a fat bat to me.
Moving on, just kind of another still image that we got, this time for Marvel's Deadpool. Wade Wilson within the Wolverine. Sorry, that's wrong. The Wolverine's the good one. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Terrible. God-awful. But holy shit, Ryan Reynolds is on a redemption story. This movie was in development hell. And this image looks great. This looks like...
Deadpool.
Deadpool. I almost said
Deadpool is dead on. It just looks great. I'm really excited to see this. And I am glad, and I know that's been discussed before, that they decided to have this be, a full-on Deadpool movie. It's going to be no holds barred, rated R all the way.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that. I don't know any movie that has to be rated R. Maybe there's some themes or story elements, but to me, the way they shoot films, sometimes the difference between rated R and PG-13 is just them showing the blood splatter on the wall.
That's true.
I don't know if I necessarily need that. That doesn't make the movie more fun or enjoyable, or it just makes it more gory. And I don't know.
I think of Deadpool as, I guess I just hope it's gritty.
He is a mercenary. He is supposed to kill people. He is supposed to be a more heartless Punisher, where, he doesn't care who he's killing. He's just in it for himself. So, and Ryan Reynolds does seem to, really care for this character, and so does the team involved. So I'd be curious to see if they can make an unlikable protagonist likable.
And I guess, I just don't want to... I didn't want them to pull any punches, so it's good to see that they're all on board with that.
So, that comes out 2016. So,
right around the corner.
I know. Moving on, live-action Pinocchio, which I knew was in development, but Robert Downey Jr. is playing Geppetto, which I didn't know, but that's not even the story that we picked up. Paul Thomas Anderson, a filmmaker, is looking to be the writer. He writes gritty stuff. Boogie Nights. There Will Be Blood. Inherent. Vice, thank you. And I know he's in some other stuff. You're probably listening, yelling at me. I might have missed your favorite. I don't know. This is crazy. So this is going to be, unless he's going left, this has to be one of the darker live-action Disney movies.
Well, it's funny, too, because, like, when we first heard about this, like, and looking back through some of the stories, it was, like, July of 2013. And Tim Burton was actually associated with the film and left and was replaced by Ben Stiller, and then who's now been replaced by Anderson. So I just think that's really interesting to see kind of the turn that it's taken and even how they're thinking about addressing the movie. And during this original release of information about that, they were actually saying that Robert Downey Jr. was not only going to play Geppetto, but he was also going to play Pinocchio too.
Are you on a Wikipedia page?
No, I just did my homework.
Yeah, you did.
So I just think it's really interesting to see, like, if any of that rumor is true. Because, I mean, it's interesting enough that he would be playing Geppetto. But then, like, how would he also play Pinocchio as well? Like, that, I don't know. Like, the whole thing is just really bizarre to me. Why Pinocchio? Why Robert Downey Jr.? Why is he so excited about this? That it's gone through all these iterations, and I don't know.
I mean, if RDJ is playing Geppetto has to be the main character.
Agreed.
And then, I guess, if he made him Pinocchio in his own image, Robert could play him, but, like, that's almost really vain of a puppeteer to literally make himself.
I mean, he was Tony Stark, come on.
I know. But you bring up a great point. One of the articles that I was reading, they were saying that, yeah, they were trying to get Anderson to write it, and then, hey, if you're in there writing it, wouldn't you also want to direct it? So maybe try and get him to slide into that role as well.
And, I mean, it's been... A couple of other writers have taken a stab at writing a screenplay for it as well, and have actually gone through the editing process, and for whatever reason, you know, I don't know if it was completed or not, but I guess it just wasn't the direction that ultimately they wanted to take the film, hence the current trend.
Well, I mean, you like live-action Disney movies. I mean, are you excited for this? I mean, basically every single one's being made.
It's funny. Pinocchio is actually one of my least favorite stories. And it could have to do with, like, the weird intermission Jonah-like scene that happens in the film where he gets swallowed by a whale, or the fact that he becomes an asshole, like, on that island, like, literally becomes a jackass and is just, like, a jerk. Or just really the When You Wish Upon a Star song that I just got tired of as a child. But for whatever reason, it's just not one of my favorites. I just feel like it's very sad. I mean, ultimately it has a happy ending, but I could definitely see, I mean, how they could turn the story a little bit darker and more gritty. I don't know. Like, it's just interesting to me. Like, I wouldn't have thought there was a demand for a live-action Pinocchio, like, of all the Disney stories. But I guess in thinking about it, you know, they've already done 101 Dalmatians, they've already done Maleficent, they've already done, you know, all of these others. But, I mean, I would rather see... maybe, you know, a live-action Little Mermaid, or, maybe not Little Mermaid. That would actually be really difficult to film, but...
I think that's, because, Beauty and the Beast is confirmed.
Right.
Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
Dumbo.
Didn't they talk about a live-action Mulan at one point, too?
Live-action Mulan's confirmed. So, I mean, like, you,
what about The Sword in the Stone? I would much rather see The Sword in the Stone live-action. Although there are a lot of King Arthur-esque films out there already. But I really like that one.
But with Game of Thrones still being popular.
The Black Cauldron. I mean, if we're digging deep into the recesses of Disney history. Yeah, The Black Cauldron.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The Fox and the Hound. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be live action for... Well, if they can do Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, Pinocchio just seemed like... I don't know. It wouldn't have been my first choice. But then again, I'm super excited about Beauty and the Beast already. And Mulan. So, you know... I do want to know now if Robert Downey Jr. is also going to play Pinocchio, though, because I found that in that other article. So it'll be interesting to see what more they have to say on it in the future.
And next time I see him, I'll ask. Moving on to TV news, sort of. Netflix is always weird exactly where to place. Aladi Yoon? I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Is being cast as Elektra for Daredevil Season 2. You might recognize her as the woman who was a red ninja in G.I. Joe Retaliation. which I almost wonder, that's the image I've seen everywhere I've seen this story, which I'm sure she's a great actress. I have not seen that. I did not see G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Or the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Unfortunately. But it almost looks like they saw that image and they were like, that's exactly what Elektra wears. Let's go grab her.
I mean, typecasting, sometimes it works. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with her work either. And it's funny, I actually had a very intense reaction to this when I first heard it because I heard Chris wrong when he was talking about it. I thought he said that they were putting Jennifer Garner into Daredevil and I was going to get really upset. And that's my fault for not paying attention. But I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see. Like, those two movies are action-packed. And they have some really intense scenes that I've heard of, even though I haven't seen them. So I'm excited to see them put her character in. She looks like more of a badass and more of how I picture Elektra to be. So it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, they've already done a really great job with the first season of Daredevil, and I have high hopes for the second season too. So I think it'll be a good, powerful addition.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think that they made the right decision not to include Elektra in Daredevil Season 1. They didn't really have too many superheroes. It was pretty much just Daredevil, his mentor, and then Wilson Fisk. And then there were some references to the comic books, but they didn't lean upon that side of the universe. So I'm glad to see them more embracing it. Another piece that came out kind of previously, we didn't record last week, was also in Daredevil Season 2. It's basically going to be Daredevil versus Punisher. So the entire season. So kind of like how I imagine that when they say that, kind of like how this season was Daredevil versus Kingpin. Like, Punisher is going to be the overarching nemesis that we see along this time. How Elektra's going to play into that, I don't know. She's also kind of a morally gray character.
Is the Punisher the same Punisher that I'm thinking of? And forgive me, I'm not really familiar with it. But
Probably.
Like, his own vigilante? Like, another vigilante, the Punisher?
Yeah, Punisher, skull on chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Marvel character.
Yeah, but why are they...
Because, one thing that they made a big deal about was the fact that Daredevil doesn't kill.
Because Punisher...
In theory, Punisher does kill.
Right.
Like, if they do him comic book justice. Like,
right.
The mom murdered his wife, he goes out and he kills bad guys.
Right.
So maybe that's the line
oh my
that
gosh,
Daredevil
I might be on
cross.
the wrong side of this adventure for season 2. I didn't realize. I'm actually a huge fan of that. Well, at least I'm gonna get myself in trouble here. But I actually really enjoyed the Punisher movie back in 2000 something.
Which one?
2000.
You're probably more John Travolta as the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot he was the bad guy though. Maybe I need to rewatch that before I get really excited about
And Thomas
this.
Jane is Daredevil.
Yeah.
I mean, Punisher. Gosh, that's the second time.
So, I don't know. Wow, I didn't realize that. That'll be really interesting. So, Vigilante's going head-to-head about, I guess, office politics.
Yeah, maybe. So, but I mean, Daredevil looks great. Marvel's already teasing this out. This might be one of the strongest properties that they have. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people chatter about how they're more excited for Daredevil Season 2 than the movies that are announced and coming out.
I mean, I could see that. I'm definitely more excited about this than, like, say, Ant-Man.
Yeah.
You know? Not to pick on Ant-Man because I haven't seen it yet, but...
We recorded last year, and I went on record saying that Guardians of the Galaxy, for when I saw that first trailer, looked like crap. And I was completely wrong. Guardians of the Galaxy was an amazing movie.
It's totally true. I almost didn't go because I thought it was going to be ridiculous, and I'm so glad that I ignored that first instinct because I love that movie.
And because I gave Guardians so much crap, and it turned out to be great, even though I think Ant-Man doesn't look good, I feel like I owe it to Marvel, which is a really odd sentiment, to go see Ant-Man still, because they proved me wrong before.
Yeah, I know, I understand. I can appreciate that.
But I don't think they will this time.
But I'm really nervous about it. And it's funny, because I've liked him in, like the animated stuff.
Oh, Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I thought you were struggling to figure out what Paul Rudd was in.
No, in the animated, I liked that character. It seems hard for him to carry, an entire, I don't know.
I agree.
We'll see.
It's going to be difficult.
I hope I'm wrong.
Moving on to more wacky heroes. Ash versus Evil Dead. So this is, Evil Dead 1, 2, Army of Darkness is going to Stars, I believe.
Yes.
For a Bruce Campbell's returning, Sam Raimi's returning, everybody's coming back. It's going to be a 10-episode arc that looks very much in keeping with that kind of sentiment.
Okay, so my question about this is what happened to S-Mart? Because now it's like Value Shop or something. And I'm like, that takes me like, I don't know.
Shop Smart?
Yeah.
Shop S-Mart?
I still say that. And I saw that as a child. You know, like it's ingrained in my brain. It's funny, you know, like I haven't really thought about this property in a while, but I really enjoyed Army of Darkness. Like I don't know, like for whatever reason, like I have very fond memories of watching it with my dad and my brother, you know, popping popcorn and like sitting and like rewatch value. We probably watched it once or twice a year. So I don't know, like I'm actually kind of excited to see what they do with the TV show, although it seems odd to have it as a series of 10 episodes.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm expecting them to be exactly like I remember those movies to be, which are kind of campy and I don't know.
Bruce Campbell looks like he's lost some weight to do this. He got a little chubby for Burn Notice.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just good camera angles.
It could be. Typically, though, the camera adds weight.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I must have 5 cameras on me all the time.
Video cameras, anyway.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they draw this out over 10 episodes. And if it's going to be like a thing of the week kind of deal, or if there will be a strong overarching story for all 10 episodes.
Yeah, I have no beat on that. I mean, that's a great thought of how they're going to do that.
I mean, I'm not expecting it to be a Daredevil, so I don't know. I just think it'll be an entertaining throwback to my childhood.
Sounds good. Moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon gets a premiere date. This is going to premiere on September 26th. This is Disney XD. We covered this previously. One thing that, like, for me, I want to call out, the original images almost looked kind of Aeon Fluxy. Like, they were really graphical and, like, they showed almost every whisker on Rocket Raccoon and very aggressive and stylistic. I think that they've toned that down a lot in a good way. It looks more animated than before and less like trying to be like, hey, crazy real life. So I think it looks good. Disney XD did Star Wars Clone Wars, which Guillermo likes. So I have to give them some credit for that. And it looks very much tonally like they're trying to keep it within that Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I think that's kind of what I'm saying when they reshifted the animation. Before it looks like they just were doing Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever, based off the comics of their own. But now it's more in keeping with the movie. Even the kind of poster that they have is, "We're back, you're welcome," which "You're welcome" was part of the poster campaign of the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. So, you know, and I don't know, I went back and rewatched the test footage and all of that, and I don't know, I can kind of see where you're coming from with the art style and the shift that they've done. I think hated, but it's funny, like it resonates 80s to me, like the whole campaign, and the colors and the look and feel. So I don't know, and looking at, you know, the test footage and kind of how they were doing the tonality of it, it's very much still that tongue-in-cheek kind of disregard that we love so much from our heroes. So I'm definitely excited to watch the series, and it's good to see more of that. I hope that they do another teaser trailer soon.
Plot synopsis, not going into the full thing, but it does say, like, our newly formed heroes from the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this looks like it's picking up after the movie. I'm not going to say that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to reference this, but it is trying to be very parallel to that Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Something else that I think is really clever, and just speaking to that little bit of desire to see more of the characters, they're actually going to be releasing character shorts leading up to the release of the actual the series, the kickoff. So they're actually going to be doing one character a week that they'll be focusing on, which will be pretty awesome. So we'll get to see more of that kicking off in August. If you have Disney XD, and I'm sure you can scour online too. But
moving on, Harry Shearer is coming back to The Simpsons.
What? just leave?
He did just leave. He said that he wasn't going to do it because of scheduling conflicts. They're saying that he didn't get a better deal than anybody else, but he is going to get paid $300,000 per episode. He does the voice of Flanders and Smithers and a whole slew of other characters that I don't remember off the top of my head right now.
I am obviously in the wrong line of work.
He does Lenny, Dr. Hibbert, Ken Brockman, Reverend Lovejoy, Otto. So, I mean, like, you know, it's funny, The Simpsons has this huge cast of characters, but they're really only voiced by like 5 or 6 principal actors who do all the heavy lifting.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way. Like, if you think about what he's paid per character, maybe that's how they're figuring out how to pay people per episode. Maybe it has to do with screen time or whatnot. I just think it's really funny that, like, on the heels of that announcement, he's already back.
I mean, I think maybe he was playing hardball. Like, in his whole, I gotta work on my play and I'm an actor, which is bullshit. And they called him on it and he's like, all right, I'll take the deal after all.
Or maybe this just shows how dedicated he is to Simpsons fans. And he was just like, you know what? I don't want to do this to you. I don't want to put you through this. So I'm going to come back and I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. By all means, pay me $300,000 an episode.
What a martyr. He does it all for fans.
Hey, somebody's got to take that bullet. It might as well be him.
Moving on to kind of miscellaneous grab bag. Mighty Number 9. What's that, you ask? Great question. It is a game that hasn't come out yet.
What?
But it's already trying to create a multimedia strategy release. This is I know this isn't Nerdy XP Gamecast, but this is based off of KJ Inafune's new property, which is quite frankly a Mega Man ripoff. And Legendary Pictures and Concept, the developer behind it, are making a live-action feature-length project for digital platforms. Kind of ambiguous, but we're looking at probably an hour-long movie that's going to be set in this live-action world. Recently, there's been kind of a lot of hubbub for KJ Inafune. He went to Kickstarter for Mighty Number 9. That game hasn't come out yet. He has 2 Kickstarters coming out right now for a new game coming out, and that game's also having another potential spin-off television series or web series, depending on how that funding goes.
But why live action? Like, given the theme of that game, I would think that they would try to jump on kind of the success of like Big Hero 6 or something and do something more, you know, in keeping with that style aesthetic. You know, it seems like such an odd decision to go live action with that. I mean, especially in keeping with the fact that it does look to me like, just like you said, a Mega Man ripoff.
That's a great question. I didn't think about it. But yeah, like, I don't know why live action and, like, what type of budget can they do?
Maybe it's cheaper.
I don't know. That doesn't bode well. Because Mighty Number 9, like, I say...
Now they're just kickstarting all your projects because nobody will actually back you. Like, I don't know. Like, that just seems odd. And I don't think of an hour being feature-length either.
I mean, the only reason I thought that is because, like, DC animated direct-to-video features are about an hour. So I don't know if,
but they have a whole powerhouse of brand behind them. It just seems odd. The whole thing is definitely, like you said, a grab bag. Like, it's just very...
In Mighty Number 9, part of his gimmick is that, and that's his full name, is that he, instead of, like, Mega Man who just absorbs the powers, like, when he absorbs it, like, he can transform into stuff. Like a helicopter, a bulldozer. And
so
like,
Ben 10?
Yeah. But he's not aliens. He's a robot.
Totally different. Totally different. My bad.
Completely different.
So sorry. Power Ranger.
No, stop. But no, I mean, you're right. Like, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I say, like, he should get sued by Mega Man, but everything's derivative over something.
Yeah. No, I actually really like the art style for the game.
Right.
I thought it was actually very in keeping with my personal aesthetic, and I think that I will actually be interested in playing that when it comes out. I just think it was a really odd choice to announce a live action when you haven't gotten your game finished. Like, let people get excited about that. And maybe people are if so many Kickstarters are coming out and they're being backed.
People are getting kind of fatigued about it, to be honest, from what I've seen.
3 Kickstarters, 4 Kickstarters.
But again, like...
That is a lot of Kickstarters to be managing. And a lot of goodwill to be soaking up from would-be fans.
But again, you know, I say people are getting fatigued, but internet echo chamber being what it is, who knows, actually. Another news that people might be getting fatigued of, another comic book series.
What?
I
feel like that's my theme today. Like, craziness.
Without comic book news, we wouldn't have a show.
That's true.
So
touche.
So CW is having a kind of spin-off web series called CW Seed. I don't necessarily know the whole background on that, but they're going to have Vixen. It's going to be an animated series. It's going to be set in the same universe as Arrow and Flash. And they just announced that the voice actress, if you don't know Vixen, she has a magical totem that she wears like as a belt. And then she can have the power, like the strength of a gorilla or the speed of a cheetah, but she always stays human. Like she doesn't transform, but like she gets like kind of their properties.
It's so odd to me that they would choose this particular character to do another spinoff. It's also odd to me that it's animated instead of live action. I mean, that seems out of keeping. And have we established magic in this universe?
I was thinking.
I guess the magical waters that are rejuvenating.
Yeah, so we got that.
But that's the only thing that I can off the top of my head think of.
No, everything in Flash was science-based.
And I feel like for the most part, like...
Yeah, no magic. I don't think there's been any magic.
So it just seems like a very odd choice.
Guess they need to call Constantine. Hashtag save Constantine. Constantine shouldn't be saved, but anyway.
I don't know. I am at least glad to see that they are going to have cameos from some of the key characters from the live action.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin, Flash and Arrow, and then other key actors. I don't think I actually said her name. I apologize. And I'm going to butcher her name. I apologize again. Megalyn Echikawaniko?
That's kind of painful.
I
can't improve on it, but it's painful.
She was in Spider Games, A Good Day to Die Hard, The 4400. So if you recognize a name that kind of sort of sounds like that.
Why not? I don't know. Why not a stronger character?
I think you maybe have the movies to blame.
Maybe
there's only such a pool, and they don't want to dilute it even further.
But I don't know. Wonder Woman didn't work. Like, as a live action.
They butchered the shit out of that Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman is an iconic character that people get behind. Why Vixen?
I don't know.
It just seems odd.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's not a lot of female characters. Maybe they're trying to do that. She's
okay.
also a minority.
Why a spin-off that's not live action, then?
I don't know.
Like, the whole thing... I think might try to be to a nod to super comic book fans.
Yeah.
And maybe a play that they are more diverse, maybe. But if so, I think that they are not putting the funding behind it and they're not putting the backing behind it. And I think that it might actually do more harm than good.
That's fair. I mean, I can definitely see that. People run with it. The problem is it's on CW Seed, so nobody's even going to know that it exists to be upset.
So I don't know. The whole thing is kind of it just seems like a weird choice. And why is there a need for the spinoff? I mean, why not focus on building and continuing forward with two strong-ish properties?
Now they have the third. Right. Don't forget about terrible title, but great trailer. I love that trailer. But DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. That's true. I did forget.
You're right. But that's not going to be this fall. It's going to be winter, like spring shows. It's always weird that we call them spring shows, but they come out in January.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's going to be coming out, but I don't know. I mean, you're right that this does kind of have an odd tingle to it.
Yeah.
Just come out and say it. Like, are you like?
I don't know. Like it just, kind of a little. I don't know. Like, I would like to see a powerful DC female lead. And I'm sorry, Canary's sister drives me crazy. I hate that. And I really don't like that character. And I think that they really undersold Black Canary in the, current Arrow iteration. I was very sad when never mind, spoilers. But I don't know. It's disappointing.
I mean, you're right. They're it's funny. I was going to list off all these characters, but a strong female character.
I love Black Canary, and I really like the Arrow series, but I really don't think that they did that character justice.
No, I mean, even when it was Sarah, she was still kind of off and weird. Like, and I much preferred Sarah. Like, I thought she was great.
Yeah.
To Lorelai picking up the mask. But I don't know. She was still always kind of off and like.
Lorelai feels like Black Canary Barbie. You know, like I don't know. Like she really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't know if that's how she's written. Like I don't know. It's just I haven't been a fan of her since she first entered the show. Like I really just detest her.
She was the show in the pilot.
I know, and I didn't like her there. Like she was whining about her sister and like.
No, I mean they have spent most of the show having her pissed at Oliver.
Right.
And them fighting, and if we're supposed to align with Oliver.
And she turns around and is like automatically on the same level as like the rest of the team too. Like I feel like they didn't have enough build up. I mean, Sarah was tortured and like had all these terrible things happen to her. At least she came out strong from that. But you just throw it at Attorney Girl and magically, you know, she's on par with, you know, Oliver and the rest of the crew.
No, you're right. I mean, season 3 had that. It had it with her. It had it again with damn it, why am I blanking all of a sudden? Thea got training out of nowhere. Like I know her dad trained her, but I mean like.
But I felt because her dad trained her and she was living with him and like all of that and it was intense and he is attacking her nonstop, I felt like that was more believable. And quite frankly, Thea's a badass and I really like her.
Lorelai got trained by a boxer who quit being a vigilante. I mean, clearly she has all the credentials to fight League of Assassins.
Ugh. Someone needs to stick an arrow in that girl.
Anyway, moving on to what we've actually been watching. Alira, what have you been watching this week?
Anime.
What anime?
Lots of anime. Actually, it's really funny. I went back and looked at my queue, and I'm kind of embarrassed about how much I've been watching. I have a tendency to be a binge watcher, so I've actually been watching a lot of different things. One of the shows that started out really well and that I was excited about was Hanaskuru Seishonen, which is the story of this rich girl who has to play this game with her dad to find her husband, which sounds really... Wow, it sounds really bad when I say it like that, but it was actually really action-packed and there's a lot of stuff that happened. But it ended up being a story of the fall and rise of a kingdom and less about that girl, ironically. So it ended up being kind of like a story of the oil wars in the Middle East. So it had a lot of really great character development, but not the way that I thought it was going to. And guilty pleasure has been Food Wars, which I've been watching... I binge watched everything that was out already and then have been watching every week as new episodes come out. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's the story of this young upstart kid that was helping his dad at a diner and his dad forces him to go to this elite culinary school where he's battling it out against rich kids across the world who have grown up in this very frou-frou atmosphere and they're trying to see who's the best chef.
Yeah, I've been watching Food Wars too. It's funny because like I'm not a chef and I don't even like half the food that they talk about and like whatever because I don't like vegetables or condiments. But and I know it's an anime, but there's something to be said about watching somebody be the best and try and push themselves and struggle or think they're their best and like needing to overcome that and prove it to the world and themselves. And they do a good job of showing people like kind of at the top of their game. And like when these people eat food, it is so over the top anime ridiculous that I actually turned off the first episode because I was like, this is borderline like hentai. Like if you just like get used to it,
food is so funny. Good it literally knocks your clothes off. I mean, you know, I would love to have a meal like that. I would, you know, it's actually challenged me to think more creatively in the kitchen, and it's actually a dangerous show too for that reason because I found myself, you know, wanting to do more things in the kitchen and be, I don't know, more intense in the types of meals that I create. But it's really fun. It has a lot of comedic elements. You're definitely rooting for him because he is the underdog and, you know, everybody loves a good underdog. So that's been really entertaining and very much outside of our typical wheelhouse.
Anything else you want to call out?
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Oh, well, we've started watching the next iteration of How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, we're definitely not through with the Netflix series, but I don't know. It's really interesting to see how that story has progressed. I love, love, love How to Train Your Dragon, so I'm definitely excited to see where it goes, but that's been interesting. I was definitely excited to see that come out, but I'm not all the way through it yet.
Yeah, so we saw the first 3 episodes. It's fine. I think the characterization's off. At first I thought this was a animated series set after How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's not. It's actually set, if you've watched everything about How to Train Your Dragon, it's actually set after the animated series that was on Nickelodeon, and then before How to Train Your Dragon 2. It even picks up some of the side characters and plot lines of that Defenders of Berk and Riders of Berk series. It's okay. The pacing's a little off. The animation's better. The animation's much better than it was when it was on Nickelodeon.
A definite improvement. It's kind of weird, though, because of where they placed it. You're seeing all of these things, and they're introducing some themes that don't carry into the second movie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a turnoff a little bit, just because it's not a neat, clean universe and timeline. But, I mean, it's interesting to see. I mean, I also read this series, so it's cool to see the new directions that they've taken it. I mean, they definitely loosely based it off the story, but I mean, I love Toothless, and I like to see how he and Hiccup take it to the next level.
Anything else?
It's funny, I was actually forgetting about it, but we also watched The Fruit of Grisea and The Eden of Grisea, which was season 1 and 2 of another anime. And it's funny because one of my favorite animes of all time, which I think that we've covered on in a previous video, not a podcast, is Full Metal Panic. And I think that the main character in the story is very similar to that. He is a teenage assassin who just wants to live life as a normal student, and gets thrown into what he thinks is a normal school, but is in fact this covert school for children or teens like himself that have had a hard time fitting into society, and antics and drama ensue. So it was really enjoyable. I blew through it really fast, so I kind of forgot about it, but it was really good, and I would definitely go back and watch it again, I think.
All right, sounds good. Topic of the week, shows fallen from grace. So these are These are TV shows that started off really great, but that ended poorly. So those are the criteria. So they have to be good to begin with, and then end, or they're continuing still to this day and are bad. The first one that jumps out of my mind, and I've kind of touched upon this before, How I Met Your Mother. I loved this show, this first season. The second season was even better. The show was still even good, like season 3, 4, but then it kind of just became good episodes here and there, and then by the time you got to the last season, it was full-on slapstick, slipping on banana peels, ridiculous humor. One of the things that the show did, it just kind of like cannibalized itself. References in season 1 and 2 were cute and adorable, but then like they would like just drag them out from the dead again and again. Like the blue French horn that's supposed to like symbolize Ted and Robin's relationship kept coming back. It played a really great part in those first 2 seasons, but then when you see it randomly in season 6, it just feels so out of place, and so like they're hitting you over the head like, hey, remember when you liked this? Remember when you liked this story arc? Yeah, you do. So, I don't know.
Doesn't that just mean it's following fondly in the steps of its predecessor, Friends?
It's funny that you missed that, because I feel like Friends, and I don't know if this is where you're going, Ted and Ross, to me, have a very, very similar arc. They start off in the show, it's kind of this like romantic who you kind of root for. They're a little bit nerdy, a little bit like ridiculous, but they're still like normal human beings, like for the most part. And then somewhere along the series, they become a little bit wackier than everybody else. And then somewhere else along the series, they kind of become like so asshole-ish in their pretentiousness and personality and their just superiority that they are almost impossible to root for. And they're almost like the most dislikable, grumpy characters of the group.
And I think that that's a great point, because I really liked the first 2 seasons of How I Met Your Mother. Like, I thought that they did a great job with his character. I thought that he was witty, he was charming, he was smart. He just had bad luck in love because he just wanted to find the one. And it was just really sad to see that they took that character such an out-of-character direction. And I ended up dropping off much sooner than you did, but I don't know. It was disappointing to me because I felt like they had done such a good job of building up his character to start. Oh, sadness.
This is a sad topic.
It is a sad topic. And kind of jumping to my own kind of disenchantment with a series. I was a huge fan, and I'm still a huge fan of the first few seasons of Bones. I think that, I really like Emily Deschanel. I love David Boreanaz. I was a huge fan. Don't judge me. I was a teen during this time. But I love Buffy. I love Angel.
Those are legitimately good shows.
I really enjoyed the character development and the tension between Brennan and Booth in the first couple of seasons of Bones. And I think that some of the magic was lost when they finally put them together. And I know that there was fan service involved in that. I know that that was the natural progression of the story in terms of like the books that accompany the Bones series. But it was just, some of the magic was lost in that. It made them very pedestrian and very, I don't know. It took away their otherworldly appeal, kind of, in how they were this struggle. And not that I don't want them to be happy. I do. No. But it doesn't tell necessarily as good a story always for things to always work out. So, I don't know. It's been hard. Like, the show has definitely lost some of that tension for me and that dynamic. And it seems more forced when they have some of the conflicts that they do between the characters. Like, everybody just is too comfortable. And that just makes it hard for the story, I think. It becomes more of a monster of the week, kind of crime of the week. And it was already that a little bit formulaic, and they had some overarching storylines and stuff like that. But the interdimensionality between the characters helped move that along and make it feel fresh.
No, I think a lot of shows struggle with that, like that will they, won't they moment, and then once it gets broken. And I think you nail it on the head. Previously, some of the conflict was from that tension of will they, won't they. Oh no, they're dating somebody else right now, but they really belong together. But now that they are married and happy and have a kid and another kid and whatever, and it's all happening, like the conflict feels weirdly forced. Like, oh, we need to go underground and Brennan's a fugitive, or oh, we're fighting over something stupid even though we already fought about this 2-3 seasons ago. And so, like, I think that's kind of where it...
And kind of everybody's happily ever after right now. Like, it's, I don't know, Sweets and Daisy are like, well, anyway.
I don't think they are, unless you've watched more than I have. Well, sorry not to...
I don't know. They've come
but you're right, everybody else.
Like, I don't know. Everybody's happy and together and coupley, and I don't know. Like, it's just not the same. And there's, like, more of a focus on that, too. And quite honestly, like, one of the things that I really enjoy about Bones is the TV science. And, like, the getting into the kind of the gross and the weird and the, I don't know. Like, the lovey-dovey stuff, while is an interesting, like, counterpoint, like, it's also a distraction. So,
another one I want to call out, and this is for you, Edgar. Heroes.
Oh my gosh! I didn't even think about that, but you are absolutely right. Season 1, oh yeah. Season 2, oh no.
And it just got worse. Like, it got weirder and over the top, and just. And we've talked about Heroes previously, so don't want to go in that. But yeah, like season 1, just. Stop watching at season 1 and just call it quits. Yeah.
And you know what? One of the things that I think is kind of, I don't know, just an overarching similarities between some of these is I don't necessarily think that shows need to be 11 seasons long.
Sure.
Like, tell your story, make it good, make it relevant, and be willing to move on to the next thing. Like, I think that trying to stretch it out is doing a disservice to the fans, and you see that drop off because, like, you've overstayed your welcome.
So Seinfeld quit. Regardless of that season finale, that series finale, which was terrible. I mean, he said that they wanted to quit on top. That when they were being offered $1 million an episode per actor in the 90s, that was a huge payday, and they recognized that. But they wanted the show to have demand, which is why now it's on Hulu. Plus for the first time streaming, like, people are watching it again, and like.
And I understand, like, in looking at it from a career perspective and, like, supporting yourself perspective and all of that, like, the appeal in having a long-lasting episodic empire. But I just think that at the end of the day, like, you've run out of stories to tell with your characters sometimes. And that's okay. Like, I would rather, as a fan, remember fondly instead of taking something that I absolutely was in love with and falling out of love with it.
Yeah. You bring up a lot of great points, and I didn't think of these before, but I mean, Simpsons, Family Guy, like, are the pinnacles of shows that have overstayed their welcome. And, you know, they can even still be entertaining, but they're not funny and as poignant and, like, on the pulse as they once were.
It's funny, because I didn't see Simpsons, like, as it was in its heyday, because I wasn't allowed to. My parents were strict. They didn't feel like it was appropriate humor for a young, emerging mind. But going back and looking at some of the earlier episodes, I mean, I do feel like there was a different energy there. Like, there was a definitely, like, more frantic need to be, like, in the moment and relevant and on point. And now it's kind of taking your audience for granted. And I don't know, there's a million other things out there that I could watch. You shouldn't take me for granted. I could go on to the next show like that, you know?
Anything else jump out that you want to call out?
No, not really. I mean, I could go way back, I guess, and, like, talk about Buffy, maybe, or the fact that Angel, like, those were my two big shows that I watched.
I like that going way back for us in the 90s. We're going all the way back through the... I mean,
well, I don't know that I watched any shows in the 80s unless you want to call out, like, My Little Pony and Strawberry Shortcake.
I don't know. I mean, like...
DuckTales?
Ooh, you know what'd be a great example?
What?
Happy Days.
I never watched Happy Days.
Neither did I, but...
The Wonder Years, didn't watch them either.
I was just thinking Jump the Shark, how that came from Happy Days. Like, oh, that's the point where the show literally jumped the shark and became more ridiculous.
Oh, I didn't know that came from Happy Days.
Yeah, Fonzie...
Who? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There was an episode where he skied over a ramp and literally jumped a shark.
That sounds terrifying.
Well, that's the thrilling epic of Happy Days. But no, go on to Buffy.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I just felt like it had some really great, and it's definitely cheesy and capey when you go back and watch it now, but that's part of its appeal. And I am a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. The movie too. Don't judge. You liked it too. I don't know. Like, it got really over the top toward the end. You know, like, I think that Buffy had this really great relationship and tension with Angelus. It was really weird for me when she got together with Spike.
Yeah.
I mean, I was okay with it, but I don't know. And then she dies and they bring her back. And I don't know, there's just this progression of, like, increasingly, like, weird and over the top things that happen that just made it completely unrelatable and unbelievable.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if I saw Buffy all the way through, but from what I did, season 2 was its strongest. And that was kind of the Angelus arc, and then it just kind of became what crazy villain can we create for this new season.
And I was a diehard Buffy fan, and I never watched the last season. I had a Buffy the Vampire Slayer planner and calendar in my locker every single year for like 5 years running, and I didn't watch the last season.
That doesn't seem Trinity approved.
It wasn't. I had to hide it. I had to smuggle in my planner. It was terrible. But yeah, like, it was just so crazy for me because I was in love with that series, and I still to this day haven't seen the last season.
All right.
So...
Well, what do you guys think is one of the shows that has fallen from grace? Let us know either in the comments section or email us at chris@nerdyxp.com. If you liked this episode, please prove it. Like this episode on podcast services or YouTube or wherever you're happening to catch it. If you want to hear more from us, which you probably do, you can catch Alira at...
Alira on Twitter. So that's Aliera.
All right. If you want to hear more from me, I'm NerdyXP on Twitter. NerdyXP.com for blogs and kind of all going on. If you like this podcast, but you wish there was one about it for games, you're in luck. There's the NerdyXP Gamecast, which posts on Thursdays. Well, thank you, Alira.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you out there for listening. I hoped that you enjoyed this week's episode and that we were able to help you with your movie IQ. Level up, friends.